Hi, I'm Eli Olson, and I'd like to nominate my husband.
Hi, I'm Brian Leonard, and this is our kitchen.
Yeah, 1938. You know, we're into vintage cars, vintage clothing. Vintage kitchens, not so much.
Yeah, it was built pre-World War II, so think about that. Eisenhower was still like a sergeant at that time. And it was redecorated when?
Never. It was never been redecorated, ever. Some of our appliances, of course, we don't have a 1938 icebox. Let's get real here. But, you know, most of it, yeah, it's pretty much the same wiring, moldy under the sink, definite mold on the countertop. So let's see.
And what's the name of our dishwasher?
Eli.
Eli, yeah.
Would be.
And Brian.
Eli. It's Eli is the name of our dishwasher. It's stinky, smelly, moldy, kind of like our dog.
And it needs to be fixed.
Right. You went for the joke there.
Like our dog, yeah.
Well, you know, cooking is a big deal to Brian. We entertain a lot. Holidays are very important to us. And, for example, Christmas Eve, we have a big Christmas Eve holiday party. And Brian makes all the food. He makes hors d'oeuvres, stuffed figs, a beautiful turkey. And it's a difficult kitchen to cook in. It's a bad traffic pattern.
There's just not enough counter space.
There's not enough counter space. And, you know, there's one counter here. And we've decided that 1938, maybe people didn't have a lot of friends. I don't know, because there's no counter space in this kitchen.
And we like to entertain throughout the year. We have dinner parties from time to time. We've got a great backyard, so we use that. But that's more because the kitchen is just not that conducive to having big parties. It's not a big party kind of kitchen.
No, it's not. And everybody always ends up in the kitchen, as most people know. So that's a problem as well, because you're trying to cook and you've got everybody's in the kitchen. And our kitchen is not everybody should come into kind of kitchen, you know? So
and I do love cooking. Want to talk about cooking?
Yes.
I've been cooking.
What's the worst meal you've ever made? Yeah, how long have you been cooking, honey?
I think really in earnest after you and I got married, because you gave me some cooking classes.
That's true. That's true. Viking cooking classes.
And that was great. We kind of opened up a whole new world. And I realized all the things that I was doing was wrong. I took home ec in high school. That was a long time ago. And at the time, they called it bachelor living, but it was home ec. And I just did it to meet girls, and that didn't work out so well either.
No, obviously not. That's not how we met. Hey, speaking of which, the worst meal Brian ever made was happened to be on our first date. Why don't you talk about that?
I just come back from New Orleans, and I thought, I'll be adventuresome. I invited Eli over, and so I try to make some etouffee and remoulade and some Cajun Creole dishes. And one of them were hush puppies, which is just deep fried cornmeal.
Yeah. One of my favorites. It was very sweet.
And I'd never had deep fried anything in my life before. And so the oil was too hot and it burst into flame. And so I put a plate on it, took the pot off the stove, and it stopped the fire. And then I took the plate off.
And his hand caught on fire.
Well, it burst into flame. It spontaneously combusted, and oil on the rug and on the counter and on my hand. And I ran outside, and it burned my hand horribly. And of course, he kept saying that I should go to the hospital.
Yeah, and of course, he didn't want to go.
Because it was, first date. And
yeah,
so I thought,
and he didn't want to blow the first date.
And I have another glass of wine, and another, and another.
And some...
Yeah.
pills.
And so, amazingly, you gave me a second chance.
Yeah, I gave him a second. Well, it's just, of course, all I can remember that his hand caught on fire. I don't think about the oil. It's just the hand, flair for the dramatic.
Yeah.
So
I've gotten better, but I see pictures of Paul Prudhomme when I have delayed stress syndrome.
Yeah, that's not good. We can't show him that. That's not one of his favorite cooking shows. So anyway, maybe we should look at the kitchen.
I think that's a great idea.
This is all the storage we have in our kitchen. So we put a lot of things on top of our refrigerator. As you can see, every cereal box, cracker box, candy, everything is on top of our fridge. The counter itself is very old, a lot of mold in the counter. Underneath the sink, there's something definitely leaking because we have mold. I think some kind of science experiment is growing under there. I really don't want to know, but I can smell it. The cabinets have not closed probably since '89 quake, or possibly, I don't know, there might be too much paint on them. I don't know, they've never closed. And one thing that drives me really crazy about this is an old kitchen like this never looks clean. So up here you can see all of Brian's cookbooks. There's a lot of them in this very messy stack. His favorite is a new best recipe. He loves Cooks Illustrated. We subscribe to Cooks Illustrated. I always think of it as kind of the science book of cooking. So here I am at the stove. The stove is the only nice appliance in our kitchen. We had to splurge and get Brian a new stove because he likes to cook. But as you can see, once again, no storage space. So all the cooking oils and all the vinegars and all the utensils and the kosher salt and all that stuff is right here, which leaves no space to chop, put anything in a pan. Very difficult to cook in this kitchen. You know, we've had a lot of great meals and memories in this kitchen, and obviously it's not because of the kitchen. It's because of the people that come through here and the love and intention that's been put into the meals. Brian's a great guy. He's a great cook. He deserves a great kitchen.